This episode of the Nuckhead podcast was originally released on May 23rd, 2024, but was never uploaded to YouTube until today. Enjoy. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nuckhead podcast, and it's a sad day. It's a sad week, really, because on Monday night, the Canucks lost in Game 7 to the Edmonton Oilers. You know, it sucks losing in the playoffs, everybody knows that, but it sucks even more when you lose against a rival opponent like the Oilers. And it sucks even more when that opponent is another Canadian team, because in the NHL, the Canadian fan bases are so passionate, so ruthless. But you know what? I'm already so excited for next season. I'm looking ahead to when October comes, it's Game 1, Brock Besser's back, Demko's back. We got some rookies in the lineup, hopefully. Maybe Verlander, maybe Elias Pettersson too, maybe even Jonathan Lekkerimäki, whoever we re-sign in the offseason, Dakota Joshua, hopefully. You know, all those what-ifs are what excites me about the offseason and the next season. And also the free agency. Are we going to sign Gensel? Are they going to take a run at Reinhart? Are they going to sign more of a depth scoring piece like Anthony Duclair or Jonathan Drouin or something like that, right? So I'm just excited. That was such an amazing season. Not many people thought they'd even make the playoffs, and then when they did, everyone said they're just going to be first-round exits. And then when Demko got injured, they said, oh, now they're definitely going to be first-round exits. Then, when they got past the first round, they had to play the Oilers, and everyone still doubted them. Oh, I'm going to say Oilers in 4, Oilers in 5, Oilers got this series, Oilers. Well, the Canucks took them to Game 7 and lost by 1 goal. And they did it without their starting goalie, who's considered one of the best goalies in the world, and in the final game, they did it without Brock Besser, who was their leading scorer all season and all playoffs. So there are just so many positives that being sad is just not worth the time. I'm excited for next season. It's gonna be a blast. I'll have videos coming out all summer on a regular basis, so don't go anywhere, don't worry. And I'll be back next season to cover the Canucks in the exact same way I did this season. So get excited with me. It's going to be a fun summer. We have a lot to look forward to, and it starts right now. Because on this episode, I got to interview, thanks to you guys, ex-NHL goaltender and Canuck legend, Eddie Läck. Eddie Läck was signed by the Vancouver Canucks in 2010 as an undrafted free agent. He played for the Canucks farm teams in the American Hockey League, which at the time were the Manitoba Moose and the Chicago Wolves, for the next 2 years and played amazing, eventually earning his spot on the Canucks 2013-2014 roster, backing up Roberto Luongo. Yeah. And Eddie quickly became a fan favorite in Vancouver, not only because he was playing so well, but because he boasted one of the funniest, kindest personalities in the NHL, and he just seemed like a great guy, and the more we got to know him as fans, the more that became true. Unfortunately, his time in Vancouver only lasted 2 seasons before he was eventually traded to the Carolina Hurricanes in the 2015 offseason. Läck would go on to play for the Hurricanes, the Flames, and the Devils before eventually retiring due to injury in March of 2020. Now, Eddie's using that same charming personality to sell houses in Arizona while still being an absolute menace on Twitter, cheering for his favorite NHL team, the Vancouver Canucks. So, without further ado, please welcome Canuck legend, Eddie Läck. Eddie the Stork Läck, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for doing it, man. This is awesome. This is
Yeah, it is kind of a sad day since the Canucks lost in Game 7 yesterday, right? So, but we'll try to cheer the troops up, I guess.
Yeah, that's the idea. I was gonna say, like, unfortunately, we had to meet under these circumstances, but I do think, I mean, if anyone's gonna cheer the Canucks fan base up, it would be someone like you. So, no pressure.
I appreciate it. No, it's been a fun playoffs and everything. I mean, the Oilers were like the last team that I wanted them to lose to. I mean, if they just won yesterday and then they got swept by the Stars, I wouldn't even have care because they at least beat the Oilers. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. It's just something about beating a Canadian team that's like kind of a mini Stanley Cup in and of itself. What do you think of that game?
I don't know. Obviously, too flat the first 2 periods. Couldn't really get it going. I felt like we had enough zone time, but we didn't really create anything off of it. Obviously, made a last push at the end there, and I honestly thought that they were going to tie it and then win, because that's just like the feeling that I've had in these playoffs, right, with the timely goals and everything.
Yeah.
But it was a little bit too late to get it going. But they made it very interesting, to say the least. So
Yeah, I'm happy they went out swinging for sure. Like the one thing that as a fan I can't wrap my head around is just when they did take over the third period there, or at least the 8 or 9 minutes of that third period, you kind of sit there like, why did they start now? Like what, what? But then
yeah, yeah.
I guess like, well, what is that? Is that just it's momentum? It's confidence. It's partly the Oilers starting to defend, right? Like what happens there? Why does that happen?
I mean, it's mostly momentum, I feel like, and you saw before the Canucks get gifted that first goal, right? I mean, they created some chances, but it wasn't really anything exciting, right? And then you get that one goal, and Edmonton starts to think, and like everyone starts to think, right? And nerves come into play. Like Edmonton thought they already had the game wrapped up, and all of a sudden it's a two goal game, and then they score again. It's a 1 goal game, right? So
Yeah.
it's mostly momentum. I have heard from other people in the league and everything that Edmonton was battling a lot of illnesses and stuff
Oh,
throughout the series, and I'm just like, maybe that attribute a little bit that they got a little bit more healthy in the end here, and just show their true colors, right? But
yeah.
yeah, I don't want to take anything away from the Canucks either. I mean, they played a hell of a series, and it is a little bit disappointing, because when we won Game 5, I kind of felt that all the momentum was in our court, right? And then Game 6 was really flat, and then most of Game 7 was flat too, right? So I feel like that's like the only disappointing thing that I could see, because I thought that Edmonton looked really tired in Game 5, and I'm like, I really felt that we had a good chance of winning one of those 2 games, right? But yeah, it wasn't meant to happen.
Yeah, it was wild. Just like winning game one, how quickly my mind goes. Oh, we got this. Losing
Yeah,
game two, I'm like, oh no.
yeah,
Winning game three, right back to oh, this is gonna be easy. Like it was such a strange series. At the end of the day, like the story that was being written, not that this has any actual factor on the game, weighs in favor of the Oilers. Just the two best players in the world.
oh yeah,
You outside of being a Canucks fan, you do want to see them get it done someday. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
not against the Canucks, but so I think it's beneficial that players like Pettersson and Hughes and Höglander and Shilovs is, I'm sure, learned a ton during that run. I mean, you would know.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help when you lose your number one goalie, who's a Vesna Trophy candidate, and you lose him Game 1 of the playoffs, and then you obviously lose your best goal scorer as well, going into a Game 7. It kind of felt like the odds were stacked against us, right? But
Yeah.
we went out swinging, at least.
Yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm proud of them as a fan. I know there's probably some people who are upset, but I think it's just only up from here. And that actually brings me to the first question submitted by one of my audience members, and they asked, where do you see the Canucks team in 3 to 5 years? And I'll kind of shorten that, more like just next season to maybe 3 years from now.
I mean, I don't know if I'm the right guy to answer. I was the guy that was screaming for a rebuild a year and a half ago, right?
Oh, really?
So, but they obviously show that they are a good team. They can play together. I really like what Talkett and the coaching staff has done this year, obviously. So, if they can build on this, think that next year is really going to be pivotal for what this core group is going to do. Like, can they build off of the success of this season, or was this season just a fluke, right? So I'm cautiously optimistic that this team is just going to get better, and they're going to grow from this playoff experience and everything, and learn even more how to win in the playoffs.
I almost see the past few seasons before this as the flukes. I mean, when you
Yeah.
have a superstar goalie in net, superstar forward in Pettersson, superstar defenseman in Hughes, and then obviously you got players like Besser and Miller around them, it almost seems like this was finally what they were supposed to be like. But
Yeah.
I guess time will tell. And I also trust the coaching staff. Like I'm excited to see what they do when they have a full season potentially of someone like Podkolzin, and maybe even the Elias Pettersson #2 comes in, and him working with that defense staff would be great, because I liked what I saw from him in the World Juniors. So I don't know, it'll be exciting. It's a sad day, but I think there's a lot better stuff coming for sure.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like, no one thought before the season that we would finish this high up in the standings and then one game away from the conference final, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was just fun to see them back in the playoffs and see the excitement with the fans and everything. It's definitely something that I missed.
Yeah, me too. It was so nice to see the fans just like rally around the team again, and man, it was great. So you were signed as a undrafted free agent by the Vancouver Canucks on April 6th, 2010, and
Yep.
then you played your first game exactly 3.5 years later on October 6th, 2013.
Right.
So what was that journey like? I mean, being an undrafted free agent, 3.5 years to get to the league, and you're playing behind Roberto Luongo.
Yeah, no, I mean, as a European goalie, like, you know that you're going to be in the minors for a few years at least, right? So that was just something that I had in the back of my mind that I was going to have to do. And I played 3 years in the second division in Sweden, right? And then I was Jacob Markstrom's backup for one season in the Swedish Elite League, and everyone just said that it was too early for me to go over here and everything. But when the Canucks reached out about a contract and everything, I just figured I'm gonna be some years in the minors anyway, so I might as well start that journey now instead of waiting, right? So it was fun. I was fortunate enough to play for really good AHL teams. Like, I played for the Manitoba Moose first, when Winnipeg did not have an NHL team. So they took really, really good care of us, and we flew everywhere, right? Like, flew private, I would say half of the trips and everything. So for AHL, we were just really, really spoiled, right? And same when Winnipeg got an NHL team, then we moved to Chicago, right? And just a really, really good AHL organization. So, like, when all my friends say, like, oh yeah, the minors were so tough and everything, it was pretty easy for me, I felt like, because I was fortunate enough to play for great teams that wanted to win with a great fan base and everything, right?
Mhm.
So for me, it wasn't that, like, bad. And then I had a really good first season in Winnipeg, and that's when I kind of knew, if I keep working and I keep going on this path, I am going to be in the NHL eventually, you know? So,
Right.
had a good season in Chicago the next year, and then the year after, I had my hips done and everything, just to kind of prepare for the NHL and just make sure that I wasn't going to be hurt.
Was that a stressful time for you, like the recovery aspect of it, or were you all just business the whole time? Like, I'm gonna go get this done. It'll be all right.
No. It was stressful. I mean, it was my first like real big injury. So for me, I mean, there's daily thoughts like, am I ever going to play again, right?
Mhm.
And you just got to try to focus on the process when you're in something like that. But some days it's hard. I mean, like,
Yeah.
even the way that I went about getting the surgery and everything, like, the Wolves didn't really want me to get the surgery. they wanted me to kind of battle through it and just like play, but I couldn't even walk at times. So I'm
Oh,
just like,
geez.
it's not worth it. It's just something that I want to do so I can like feel 100%, you know?
And when you eventually made the Canucks lineup, you stepped into a pretty intense hockey market that was already very focused on a goaltending controversy. Because before you, it was Schneider or Luongo. What was that like as a rookie coming into that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just thought that that's what it was like in the NHL everywhere, right? Because I didn't know better,
Oh, fair, fair.
and I'm just like I worked my whole life to get here, and I always loved to be in the spotlight, and I wanted to be like the hero or the zero, you know. So, spotlight wasn't really anything that bothered me. Obviously, it helped having Lou as a starter with all his experience and everything, to kind of teach me the way of like how to act and how to behave and everything. But no, it was amazing, and like the years in Vancouver was definitely like my favorite part of my career.
You know, I've seen a lot of people online comparing Shilovs to you. Just I think a lot of it is just the calm nature and not really flinching or showing any stress in such a major spotlight. Like, do you see the similarities there too?
Yeah, I do. I mean, he's a way more athletic goalie than I ever was, but I feel that like to be thrown in like he was and just show what he showed in the last few weeks or like month. I mean, it's amazing, and it takes a special type of character and like this not give a shit attitude, you know. And I think that he just like played as well as he could under the circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was amazing. He played incredible, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. But I'm wondering if you ever were starstruck by a teammate. I mean, when you joined the Canucks, you were playing with the Sedins, which I imagine, I don't know, but I imagine they must be stars in Sweden.
It was more with Lou, I think. So I got to share a room with him my first training camp because we were up in Penticton, and I remember because I was there early for rookie camp, and when the veterans came and everything, I was just like, oh, who am I gonna share a room with? So I went down and asked the front desk, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna share with Roberto Luongo, and that was like the
Wow,
most starstruck I like been, I think. So I called all my friends and everything, and I'm like, oh my god, guys, this is amazing! I'm sharing a room with Bobby, you know. So
that's awesome.
yeah, that was like the most starstruck, I think. Yeah.
Well, so at Shiv 604 asked, do you still keep in contact with any ex teammates, and if so, who?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I keep in contact with a lot of them. I would say from the Canucks, it's probably mostly Lou. I played with Elias Lindholm in Calgary, so we talked a lot during this playoffs and everything
Oh,
too.
cool.
That's like a current Canuck that I talk to. But yeah, like I still talk to a lot of guys on other teams, but that's like the Canucks connection, I would say.
So you were traded 3 times, twice in the off season, once during the season. Uh, I always wonder just what is that like? And you don't have to answer the second part, but was there ever a time you were traded to a city that you had no interest living in? I feel
Well,
free to say no comment to the second part, but mainly I want to know just what is it like getting a phone call basically, hey, you don't live here anymore.
well, the first time I got traded was from Vancouver, Carolina, right? And it was just like, I mean, I really wanted to stay in Vancouver, and like, I mean, I just really wanted to like stay, but I knew that I was gonna get traded. So for me, it was just like I'm hoping that I get traded to a decent spot where I will have an opportunity, right? And there's talk about Edmonton and Buffalo too, and I think Carolina was a lot better at that time for like me, and I think I like enjoyed living there a lot more than I would have enjoyed either of those towns. So I wasn't really happy or sad. I was just like, okay, well, this is where I'm going now. We got to make the best out of it, right? Because I really wanted to stay in like Van, and then I got traded from Carolina to Calgary, and I knew I was going to get traded then to, and I thought that Calgary was going to be a good fit because I had my old coach Glenn Gulletson there. It didn't really work out. I mean, I only started, I think, 1 or 2 games in like 2.5 months, so
Wow.
didn't really get in a rhythm or anything.
Who was their starting goalie at that time?
Mike Smith.
Oh, okay, right.
So like we started the season, we're like, okay, like both guys are kind of gonna get a shot, I guess. And then Smitty just played so well in the beginning, and I was just like, okay, well, at least throw me a bone here. But and then I got sent down then for the first time in like 5.5 years, and I was just like, okay, I like need to find another club because this is not working. And then Rolly Melanson, my old goalie coach from Vancouver, he was the goalie coach with Jersey then, and they reached out, and they always had a lot of injuries with their goalies and everything. So I was up for like most of that year. Then I think I had like 3 or 4 starts and played pretty good. So yeah, I would say like the first trade was the toughest one because that's the one that I really didn't want.
Yeah, I remember when that happened as a fan. I'm not just saying this. I was really bummed out. We loved having you here, man. It was awesome. It was such
Yeah,
a good
no,
time.
like we were talking about like a long-term deal with Vancouver when that playoffs just ended for us and everything, and I wanted to stay, right? And at that time they wanted me to stay as well, but then Markstrom played so well in the AHL playoffs and they went all the way to like the final, right? So it just didn't make sense to re-sign me for all that money, and while Miller was still making 6 sheets a year, right? So
Oh, right, yeah.
that is like the business side of it, and it kind of sucks, but like it is what it is.
So playing for Calgary as well as the Canucks. So you played for Calgary, Carolina, and New Jersey. Zach Yep wants to know what was the pressure level in those markets compared to the Canucks?
In Calgary, it was still like a win now. Like I would say in Jersey as well. We made the playoffs that first year that I was there, and that was the Taylor Hall MVP year. Like he was so good. And Carolina was like still, they were in the middle of the rebuild. I would say like we had the pieces in there. It was just, I mean, it was such a young team. I mean, all those Slavin and Pesci,
Right.
Lindholm, Rask, like all those
Right,
guys.
you played with Lindholm in Carolina as well.
Yeah. So like, but all those guys were like 20 years old, right? So we all knew that like this eventually is going to be a really, really good team, but like we're like just not there yet, you know?
Were they doing the storm surge in Carolina back then?
No.
I feel like you would have been the star of that.
I would have loved the storm surge. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you would have. So these are going to be hard questions to answer, but they're what the people want to know. 42 Deep asked, "What was your best save?" Is there one that comes to mind?
I don't know. I like had one. So we just Miller just got hurt the day before, and like the pressure was on me again to like carry the team, right? And I felt like I played okay the last year when I did it, but we missed the playoffs and everything. So like the pressure was really on to like make the playoffs this year, right? And it was the next game. We played Boston in Boston, and I made a save with my right pad, I think, and the rebound popped out to my left, and they had a guy in front of the net. And as I was getting run over by that guy, the other guy shot the rebound towards the net, and I somehow managed to get a glove on it. I think that's my best save, I think so.
So that was against the Bruins.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to find it after this episode.
yeah. Bruins in the
Who
Garden.
won?
We won. I think either 2-1 or 3-2.
I think I found it at February 24th, 2015. Does that sound right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, some of these questions are gonna be hard to answer. That was a good answer. But this one, I don't even know if I can say this. This person's name is at 2006 Honda Civic Edits. That's hilarious. They're asking, what was your scariest moment as a goalie?
Oh, probably when I got carried off on a stretcher in Carolina.
Oh wow.
I just got back from missing 3 months with the concussion, and I was just happy to play hockey again, right? And then we played against the Red Wings at home, and it came into overtime, and Anastasio came like on a half breakaway from like the side, and my good friend Victor Rask, instead of trying to stop him, he kind of gave him a shove from behind, so he got even more speed, and he just
Oof.
ran me over, and my neck went one way and my body went like another way, and I was
Oh
just like,
man.
yeah, this is not a good situation.
Jeez. How long were you out after that?
That was just like a strain thing, so I didn't get a concussion on that play, thank God. So I think I missed like week and a half with that or something like around there.
Wow. That's the rough part of all this is just some of the injuries people have to face. And
Yeah.
is there an injury you saw one of your teammates or an opponent play through that stands out? Because you hear stories, right? Like, guy lost his leg and played the third kind of thing.
I don't know if it was Hank or Danny. I think it was Hank that played with like the broken rib,
Ooh.
or like whatever it was. I mean, that can't be easy to do. I mean, yeah.
Hockey players are different. It's
Yeah.
crazy. At SAA, man, I'm not going to say the username because some of these are just make no sense. But someone asked, what shifted your mindset to become an absolute menace on Twitter? Have you always been cheeky like
Give a
that?
shit, I guess. Like, to not give a shit, I think. I don't know. I felt like when I played, we always kind of got told sometimes to take stuff down, or like to not tweet some stuff because it would rattle the fan bases and stuff, right? And now I feel like when I'm retired, I can kind of say whatever I want because I'm not hired by anyone, right? And I just run my own real estate firm, so I can kind of say whatever I want. But no, just for me, I just try to have fun with it now. Like, there's always people that are gonna take offense to what you say. I mean, there's so many Edmonton fans that were just so mad at me
Yeah, I saw
about
that.
this series and everything, but it is what it is. Like, as long as there's no threats or anything, I mean, it is very entertaining when the fan bases go back and forth like this.
Oh man, it's so as long as like occasionally you see people getting they cross that line, they get personal or they get offensive, but as long as it's just your team sucks, no your team sucks, it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think that I got more tweets from Edmonton fans yesterday that tweeted me that I'm such a piece of shit because I was wrong and Edmonton won, compared to them tweeting like their own team and just being happy that they won. It's more fun to just like stick it to me than to
Yeah.
be happy, you know what I
And
mean?
that's a win for you, in my opinion, because I had the same thing. My Twitter's never got as much engagement as it did yesterday,
Yeah.
and I can see my phone lighting up still even now. I think there's people just because I said so much stuff over the course of the playoffs. Everyone's bookmarked it and are coming back like, "Oh, really? You think so?"
Yeah. And
It's funny.
everyone's like, I mean, everyone's like, oh yeah, the Vancouver fan base is like the worst. I mean, there's bad people in every fan base in the
Yeah,
NHL, right?
yeah.
Like, so I don't think that our fan base is like worse than anyone else, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it that way either. I think it's
Yeah,
more just a reflection of society as it is. Like,
correct.
take any group of people, there's going to be a percentage that, you know, make low blows and are offensive and rude. And
Yeah.
I don't think the Canucks fans are special in any way when it comes to that. Um,
No.
okay, so what led you to Arizona? You know, because you'd
Um,
think that you had, you know, maybe you had to stop playing for the Coyotes or something like that, but no. So what brought you there? I mean, it's a beautiful place from what I hear, but
Honestly, it was like pretty much my wife that decided that we should live here because she moved with me my entire career, and I was just like, when I retired, I asked her where she wanted to live, and like we both agreed that we wanted someplace warm, and we both liked Arizona a lot better than California and Florida. So we got traded from Calgary to Jersey, and we're just like, okay, we might as well just buy a place now because there's no point of moving all our furniture and everything from Calgary to Jersey because I only had like 3-4 months left on my deal, right? So,
mhm.
so yeah, we bought our first house over FaceTime here, and we haven't looked back. So
Is there ever a chance you'd come back to Vancouver or
I don't think so.
no?
I like it here too much, and we built our whole life and everything here now. So I don't think I'm ever leaving, but I've said that before, so we'll see.
Right. Have you ever sold a house to a fan?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Really, like going into it, like they knew right away, or like
yeah, yeah.
that's
I
cool.
mean, I would say 80% of my clients right now are Canadians and knew me from playing hockey. So yeah, that's like my biggest market right now, I would say.
Okay, I got two final questions. I saved them for last because they're kind of silly. At RLJ96 wants to know who would win in a goalie fight, you or Roberto Luongo, both in your goalie gear.
Oh my God, he would kill me. Like, it's not even a question. I mean, uh, he's got equally long arms as me, and like, he's definitely stronger than me. So yeah, Louis would win for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I hope maybe one day I'll get him on the podcast and I'll ask him the same question, see if he's as nice as you are.
Canadians know how to fight a lot better than Swedes, I can tell you that.
Okay, well, at Keanu Ritchie wants to know what was that stain in your pants?
I like still don't know. Like, and I know that everyone thinks it's poop. It wasn't poop, but like, if anyone keeps talking about it, I mean, yeah, I can say it's poop, but it's not. But uh, I think that it's probably rust from somewhere, but I don't know where. But yeah, it's I like still wonder to that to this day what that was.
I think if you might have to just make up some story to just to get them off your ass there.
Yeah, yeah, ass.
Yeah. No pun
Yeah.
intended. Well, thank you for doing this, man. I really
No, of course.
appreciate it. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. I started doing this whole thing at the start of the season. So the fact that I get to interview you and possibly other ex Canucks in the future is just amazing. So I really do appreciate you
Yeah, I
coming
love
on.
it.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again next season.
Thank you.
All
Have a
right.
good day.
Yeah.